Sabrina.
I love the countdown. That was so cool.
Thank you. It's so funny the things we learn in business. Like,
yes,
trying to figure out how to do stuff. I learned how to use InShot, which is a video software, and they have like free music you can add. And so I learned how to do that.
I love it.
There we go. Yeah.
It's like the anticipation. I was like, ooh.
Yeah, it was like really great music. I loved it. So welcome. For those of you who are just joining us, say hi in the chat. Let us know that you're here. Let us know you can see and hear us. And give us some good news. We could use good news, can't we?
Yes, always. Yeah.
Let's go for some good news. I had just as people are coming on, I had an experience the other day where somebody who I became friends with on LinkedIn sent me a DM with some good news. And I was like, I love to hear that. That's so amazing. You're so brave, good work. And she said, part of your brand is that you like hearing good news. And I was like, yes, I love that.
That's do love that.
Yeah, I love that to be my brand. So I love hearing good news. Tell me some good news in the chat. Even if a lot of stuff isn't going well for you right now, like there's something going on that we can celebrate always. So I'm going to be checking in on comments. If there's something for us to respond to, we'll keep the comment up and say, talk about it. But some people just like to say hi, and I like to say hi too. So come on into the chat. So we've got Elizabeth, is the program called InShot? Yes, I used InShot, and they have a free version. I used the free version, and you can create videos, and they have like free music and all kinds of stuff. And I learned it and did it all on my phone, so it wasn't hard at all. And then we've got April. April, somebody I want you to meet, Sabrina. Look out for an email. I want the two of you to get to know each other. April says she's green with envy over your background. I know, I love that painting so much.
I painted it myself, and it's 6 feet tall, and I've never painted anything in my whole life.
Wow. I've never seen the whole thing. I'm so glad she brought it up.
Yes. Her name is Freedom, and you can't tell if she's a blonde or brunette, and you can't tell what nationality she is because of the shading. So I made it that we're all free.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah, it emulates my life and where I am right now.
Nice. That's amazing. Thanks for sharing that. We've got Tanya here, fellow coach, saw Crater Lake for the first time. Oh, nice. Where's Crater Lake? And we've got Lauren, who is a friend who I accidentally met on LinkedIn when she
accidentally
emailed the wrong Lauren, and I was like, I'm never the wrong Lauren, and now we're best friends. And Penny is one of her daughters saying hello. So let's get started. This is like a juicy topic. Sabrina, thank you so much for joining me today and talking procrastination and time management with me. And I know you and I are both ready to get a little bit vulnerable about our own challenges with those things. So before we dig all the way in, why don't you just tell us who you are? There's so much to who you are that I don't think I could sum it up. So tell us who you are.
Well, I'll just keep it short. Sabrina Victoria. If you want to find me, I'm at sabrinavictoria.com. I own a company called Human Better 365, which is a transformation company that specializes in time management organization. And I like to say that I cure the procrastinator. But all good stuff over here. It's all about filling the gap between church and school. So there's a whole bunch of stuff right in between there that you didn't learn in either one of those places. And a lot of times it causes the humans a lot of turmoil. So the goal over here is to continue to build out a platform that fills in that gap between those two things in order to make you whole.
Nice. I love that, I know how to play softball, but I didn't know how to balance a checkbook. There's so much missing between what you're tactically taught in school, and then they're like, okay, go live.
Yeah.
Go handle that.
Yes. Or even just the fact, in my case, you know, what to make point to what you just said as far as balancing your checkbook. I actually did learn how to balance a checkbook in school. It was actually a requirement, but I learned it my freshman year in high school. So it's like by the time, you know what I mean? Like by the time I'm 20 years old, like I don't freaking remember or know or understand, you know? So it's those reminders of all those things.
Yeah, for sure. So, so there's a lot in that gap between church and school and real life. Why procrastination and time management? Like, what was it that grabbed you about that?
I love that. So that's actually well, I just said that, the foundation. Well, if you want the whole story, I actually started out in health and wellness, moved down here to Florida about 10 or so years ago. I probably grabbed onto it a couple years before that, but really hit the ground running when I moved down here because it's everywhere in South Florida. Everyone's like a model down here. It's very intimidating. But anyways, so we just went face first into that arena. And I was doing great. I had a group of women that I was helping along the way. And what I was realizing is they kept falling off the bandwagon. I was staying all good and like at it and doing all the things and every day and hustling for my health and my wellness. And they would go for 3 months, fall off, 2 months, fall off, 6 months, fall off. And I'm like, there's got to be something else. And what I started to realize is while I was doing health and fitness, I was also reading books on mental health. So I was like, okay, it's not physical health first. It's actually mental and emotional health first. So I got rid of the physical health and I started diving into mental and emotional health. And again, started up coaching and doing the whole thing and took classes, got certified and blah, blah, blah. And then I was stuck with people giving me the excuse of, yes, and I have no time. Yes, and I have no time. Yes. So then I realized it's not health and wellness. It's not mental and emotional health. It is time. First thing on the list is time management, learning how to organize, focus, and create energy around time and organization. And with that being the foundation of your life, you can then build upon it.
So true. I'm thinking of like my own path from workaholic to now, whatever I call me now, free, I guess. And the very first thing we worked on was time. The very first thing I said to the coach I hired before I hired her was, I don't have time. And
I love that.
I work too many hours. I'm too busy. Like when I have downtime, I'm usually crashing because I'm so tired because I've got chronic health issues. And she said, if you say so. And I tell the story all the time. And I was like, so mad at her. Like, no, you don't understand, you know? And then I hired her 10 minutes later. And the first commitment I made to myself was 15 minutes in the morning to not check my phone. My MO was that I would wake up and the phone would be right in my face to see like, what did I miss overnight? What's an emergency? What's urgent? And I'm like, not a brain surgeon on call, you know, like I was HR for a nonprofit. And so the first thing was me committing to 15 minutes of no phone in the morning. And it was so hard. And then once I got through that 15 minutes, I replaced it with a book. And once I got through that 15 minutes for like a month, I was like, okay, cool. Where do we find more time?
I love it.
I was so into it. Yeah.
I love it. Very, very cool.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about like, how do you get from I don't have time to I'll make time or I'll create time or I'll listen to what you have to say about time?
Yeah. So a lot of it's just mindset. One of the first things that I have my clients do is what I call a create. A lot of people call it a mind dump or a brain dump. I call it a master list because I like to be powerful. So to me, mind flush or brain dump seems kind of negative. So I'm like, let's create our master list. This is like something that is going to like guide you throughout your day. It's basically just where you put all your thoughts. So many people in the world use their brain as a storage unit. And our brain is not a storage unit. Our brain is actually meant to be super creative, super bright, full of colors, full of ideas. But it's so bogged down with all of this stuff that we're trying to memorize or remember all the time. This is why one day you'll remember, oh, I need to go to the store to get hooks so that I can put my keys on a hook so I don't misplace my keys. And then you forget to go to the store. And then a week later, all of a sudden it pops up in your brain to go to the store to get the hook for the keys so you don't misplace your keys. And it becomes this whole cycle of remembering, forgetting. And you can't ever put more stuff in because your brain is already clogged with just silliness. When you could have just wrote down, get a hook for my keys,
right,
somewhere on a master list, and then gone to the store, bought that hook, put the keys up, and now you just took care of two of the problems that's been floating around in your head for 6 months now. So what I do is have them create a master list. It's the very first thing I do. And then we prioritize that list. So 1 through 4, 1 being the most important, 4 being not so important. I call those zombie lists, like things that you do when you're just out of energy, like organizing your sock drawer or organizing the pantry or calling your mom, things that you have to do, but it doesn't really take a whole lot of brain power to do it. And that's kind of the first, 2 things that are super important.
Yeah, that's amazing. So if we go one step back though, right? So now you're working with someone. There's still that gap, and I have it too with potential clients, right? And I'll tell you how I address it too. But how do you get from I don't have any time to I'm willing to sit with you and work on this and make my master list and start? What's the change that happens?
Well, the first question is, what makes you think you don't have enough time?
Yeah.
So figuring out what that is. Mm-hmm. And then another thing is journaling. So what exactly did you do today? And then making them or having them day 1 write out a journal of what exactly you did. How much time did you spend on TikTok? How much time did you spend on Facebook? How much time did you spend talking to your spouse on the phone about meaningless things, and then just repeated them again when he got home from work? So really taking into account where the time is going and what you're actually doing with that time. And when you start to cut that stuff out, a lot of times you find out that you're spending 3 or 4 hours of your day doing, mindless things that are just completely unnecessary. One of the things that I wound up doing myself, my fiance and I have been together for 5 years, but when we first started dating, you get that new, like, I want to talk to them all the time with all of the things. And you have like 6 phone calls during the day, and then they get home from work, and that's when you're supposed to spend quality time with them. But then there's nothing to say because you had 6 phone calls with them throughout the day. So it's learning how to, hey, let's not talk all day. Maybe just a text message here and there, and then spend that quality time when they're home anyways. So instead of spending, an hour during the day and then having this empty time here, free up that space so you can actually do something with that hour, and then spend that hour with them when they're actually home. So it's really making just little tweaks and little maneuvers throughout their day to make them realize where their own time is going.
Yeah, that's so great. As you were saying TikTok and Facebook, I was like ticking in my head, like a lot. Right?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. It's like
get into the doom scroll.
Yes. Yeah, just 30 TikToks. I remember when I first got on the app, I didn't get on the app because that's my specialty, time management organization. I already know, but I'm a huge Gary Vaynerchuk fan. So I was like, Gary's like, get on TikTok. So I'm like, fine, Gary, I will get on TikTok. Got onto TikTok. And it just the first 3 months I was on it, dude, it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible because just 30 TikToks is 30 minutes.
Right. And you're not even deciding if you want to watch on TikTok. You're scrolling off the one you just watched, and there's a new one up. It's not like, do you want to watch this? Yeah. I know.
So it's finding stuff like that, holes throughout their day. One of the things that I always say is I guarantee you we will find 3 to 4 hours a day. And it always happens. It always happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think you and I a lot of times work with the same type of person, the achiever, the pleaser, right? Who wants to get everything done and just be there for everyone all the time. And I find that the no time is like, I will fill my time with ways to help other people, whether they're asking for it or not. And that was very much how I was for a long time.
Yep.
Not that they didn't appreciate it, like my clients aren't people who are invading people's space and overtaking. They're just hand raisers. I'll do it. I'll take care of it. I'll take on that responsibility. And they end up working these like 12, 15-hour days a lot of the time, or they're working a regular day, but it's so intense and so crazy that by the end of the day, all they can do is just like veg in front of the TV. Like they have no more brain power.
Yep.
And I have noticed a pattern in particular with the clients who are attracted to me, which is that they come and talk to me about what they want, and they everything sounds like a good idea. They get really excited about the opportunity of what it could be like if they're willing to pay some attention to themselves.
Yeah.
And they're like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to carve out the time to do it. So thanks for the conversation. I'm inspired. But without the actual support and idea sharing and real look into your day the way you do with your clients, and asking them like, track your entire day and let's talk about it. We can find hours. Without that support, it's just like a wish, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that sounds real neat. I'm going to do it. And because they're high achievers, they think they're going to. They're like, I'm gonna, but we don't look out for ourselves the way we look out for other people a lot of the time until we learn to. And that's not what we were taught. When I was, growing up, and when most of the people I know were growing up, it was like, you can have a little downtime, but like, make sure you're doing everything you're supposed to do and serving everyone you're supposed to serve. And nobody ever said like, love you first.
Yeah.
And so there's so much power in being across the screen or across the room from somebody who says like, we're here just for you.
100.
Yeah. So I love having these conversations because they're so powerful, in like, you can get out of this, you can achieve what you want to achieve. And there's also a little bit of a halo put around our heads as we're talking about this, like, oh, you must be perfect. Congratulations on having procrastination be an issue for you. So I would love for us both to share a couple of stories about procrastinating. Like, where does it hit you? Where do you lose time, or where do you procrastinate?
I mean, this is tough for me because I schedule in my downtime. So I'm very present always. So, when I'm scheduling, I always schedule out my time the day before, and I schedule in an hour lunch where I can hang out on TikTok for an hour. I schedule in every Sunday to wake up whenever I want to. There's no time limit on my Sundays. But then all my other days are very regimented. So the things that are important to me, like watching YouTube videos of cats, of spending quality time with my spouse, of just like free time. There's actual like slots in my day that says free time. Or
I love
says
cats and your partner are on the same level of importance.
Yes. Yeah. Well, my fiance and I will watch cat videos together.
Yeah.
We'll actually do this. So on my lunch, I one of the things that I do, not every time, because there's, like I've got YouTube videos piled up. I always have women referring me like, watch this, watch this, watch this. I have a whole line of like URLs to watch. But on my break, so at least 2 times a week, I spend an hour on TikTok, just having fun, enjoying my time. So my fiance gets like 25 TikToks sent to him on those days. And then he'll come home. Listen to this. He'll come home. And then I'll be like, did you watch this at some random time? Did you watch the TikToks I sent you? He'd be like, oh, no, I didn't watch them. And I'd be like, let's watch them together. So that I rewatch the same TikToks I already saw with him. But that's like our quality time. That's like our relationship. That's us spending time together. So I've gotten really good, honestly, at time blocking my indulgences, my self-care, my free time, and I'm very regimented with it. But if I had to say things that where I do get caught up, it would probably be chores. I hate cleaning my house. I don't like saying that out loud, but I procrastinate cleaning. I procrastinate dishes. I mean, I've done a lot in my past. If you want to talk about that.
Yeah, tell us about that. We all become experts in things because we did them badly before.
Yeah.
Right? So, like my client is former me in a lot of ways.
So I tell a story to pretty much all of my clients about the time when it really hit me on how ridiculous procrastination was. And it was this week or this time period of 3 days where I put my laundry in the wash, went about my day, and I thought about my laundry at least a handful of times throughout the day. And I just would tell myself, just hang on 1 second. Let me just finish this one thing before I go back to that. Before I knew it, it was the next day. And just like everybody knows this, you go back in, you open it up and you're like, yeah, I got to wash this again. So I washed it again. And then the same exact thing happened that day. And then the same exact thing happened the third day. So like 3 days in a row, I washed the same clothes 3 times. And it wasn't like I just totally forgot about it. I actually thought in my head at certain times throughout the day, oh, I got to switch the wash to the laundry, but I procrastinated it with whatever I was doing, which it wasn't anything catastrophic. I'm not building houses. I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not delivering babies. Like it was just whatever I was doing, just finishing an email or whatever it was. And I really came to the realization of doing, how important it was to do and how important it was to write things down and to prioritize things. And I'm sure everybody has done that at least, you know, a handful of times, but that was huge for me 3 days in a row.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest ones, I deal very heavily within trauma. Individuals have endured trauma, big T or little t. I endured a 13-year narcissistic abuse relationship where I actually had to literally escape the relationship by having a secret bank account and 3 online secret businesses to save up money to actually escape that relationship. That's how bad it was. But a lot of procrastination within that time in my life because I knew that I needed to get out. I knew that I had to leave. I knew that the relationship I was in was toxic. And I just kept putting it off. I just kept coming up with the excuses as to why now wasn't the best time to do it. And even the end of my story, as far as leaving, was procrastination. I already had a place. I already bought or rented out a new place. All of my stuff was at the new place. And I was still living with him. Just procrastinating. And the reason that I was able to leave is because one day he was running the RoboVac in my area. I was sleeping in a separate bedroom towards the end of our relationship. And he opened up the closet to like run the RoboVac. And there was no clothes in the closet because I had moved them out weeks ago. And he called me up. He's like, what the hell's going on? And of course I knew what he was talking about, but that's pure procrastination. It's like just not wanting to take that step forward into this new area of your life, not willing to pivot, not willing to make that move and just staying stuck. I mean, that's stuck, you know?
Yeah. I had a similar experience that I was not in the actual logistics of the experience, but my work life was I was so tied up in it for so many years. And I didn't think I could leave it. I didn't think there was anything else for me. I thought I had this path. I was in HR. My next job was HR. The job after that would be HR. And then someday I would retire and probably be pretty tired. And meanwhile, I was coaching other people to get out of their situations. I saw opportunity for everyone but myself. I mean, what a testament to actually like having a coach who's going to just be the person who believes in you. And And it took a robot vacuum to change my life. Right? Because I was chasing a robot vacuum and I slipped and fell and broke both of my shoulders, literally
Yes.
losing the ability to hand raise. And it wasn't immediately after that I changed everything, but it was, the pandemic then came shortly after, and I realized I needed change. But I procrastinated that for a long time because I didn't think there was anything else. I thought I was just like this boring HR person who just like did HR all the time, and that's what I was good for on this earth. I've learned differently, and I'm so glad for it. But for me, the funny one is, so I have this new Procrastinators Power Hour that's twice a week, and it's for procrastinators. It's for us to come together and do the things we keep putting off. Whatever it is, putting your resume together, doing a project for work, doing a project for yourself, for your side gig, like all the stuff we keep putting off. Last week, somebody cleaned her bathroom, like did a deep clean of her bathroom for the hour because that was like something she needed to set aside time for. And I procrastinate. First of all, I procrastinated launching the Procrastinators Power Hour. And now I'm like sending out marketing emails for the people who are not signed up. And I do it like an hour before each of the sessions because I'm like pushing myself to do it and leaving it for the last minute. And I think it's turning out kind of cute because it's like, hey, procrastinators, it's only an hour away. Like, that's fun, but it's not on purpose. It's like I can't get the rhythm of it yet. And the actual sessions themselves are awesome. Everybody's getting a ton of work done. We're all celebrating together at the end of the hour. Like, it's totally fun. If you want to come, you should come. But it's it's like so funny to me that the thing I'm procrastinating are the logistics of the Procrastinators Power.
Love it.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing those stories. I want to take a look at the comments. We've had a couple of things come in that I sort of skimmed over. But Tanya made a comment that she has to work hard on the start button and that once she starts, she's good. And I see that a lot, that there's like a big resistance to starting.
Yep.
And then once you're in it, and it becomes habit or it feels good, then you're like, oh, I want it again.
Yeah.
But it's that like moment of courage to step over the threshold. Right.
Yep. One of the strategies, which you'll see, is commit 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's to clean out your basement, just do 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Just commit to 15 minutes. What will happen is you're just like, just 15 minutes, Sally. That's all you got to do. Just 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then she's like, okay, I can do 15 minutes. That's cool. And then what happens? You could jump back out of call. And she's like, I was good for 2 hours.
Mm-hmm. It's just getting that push. Yeah. And then Linda says, I've made it a point to spend time, 30 minutes with myself. I've done it maybe 3 times for 5 minutes. I'm getting better. 3 times for 5 minutes is awesome. I have clients who like jump right into work and they have kids and they have to get ready for the day and whatever. And I have clients who have started with 5 minutes in the bathroom with a cup of coffee. Just to be by themselves, just to like feel what it's like to set aside time for themselves.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do 30 minutes. And when you're an achiever, which I'm guessing you are, Linda, because you're saying you're making it a point to spend 30 minutes with yourself, and you're having trouble getting there, is achievers set big goals right away. And then we get mad at ourselves that we set a goal that we couldn't meet, and we're like, it's not worth it. So I want to give you a lot of credit, Linda, for doing 3 times for 5 minutes, because that's you having taken 15 minutes that you didn't used to take. So keep doing that. And then like go to 6 minutes, go to 7 minutes. If you're having a hard time going up in increments, just give yourself a little more time every time.
100, definitely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I want to add that to make that just a little bit more enjoyable for Linda and possibly a little more productive. Because a lot of times, for me at least, not trying to project onto Lindy here, I have a hard time. I talk about how I don't meditate. Like, I'm not a meditator. I don't promote meditating. It's for some people it's not for. I just don't do it. However, I do spend time with myself in silence a lot. So maybe that's the same thing. But one of the things that I do during that time is allow myself to be able to write stuff down. So if you're having a hard time, Linda, feeling as if you're wasting time, which is one of my issues, like this is such a waste of time, make it about allowing your brain to shoot creativity and brilliance and color and all of the things, and then have a notepad beside you so that if anything comes to you, you're then able to write it down. Even if it's, oh, I need to buy, pepper for the recipe for tonight or whatever it is. So this way you're being mindful, you're being by yourself, but then you're also on the back end being somewhat productive also. And that might make it just a tad bit easier for you if that's something that, feels authentic to you.
I love that. I do meditate and I'm pretty new to it. Like I would say about 2 years, I've been doing it here and there. And sometimes I'm really into it. And other times I'm like, how long has it been? Have I meditated for a long time yet? But I do it and I don't do anything else while I'm doing it.
I love it.
So even if my mind is, I do keep a notebook near me because like something will pop into my head and I'll be like, there's still 15 minutes left of the meditation and I'm remembering I need milk. And so I'm in a group meditation and I'm thinking like, don't forget milk, don't forget milk, don't forget milk. So if I just write down milk, then it's out of my head and I can get back into it. But what I love about meditation is reminding myself that it's a practice. It's not, somebody once said to me, and it has lived in my head, it's a practice, not a perfect. And for a perfectionist like me to hear it's a practice and to be able to say to myself, it's a practice is really empowering. Yeah. And to not expect perfection from myself in all things gets me moving. Like that's another thing that I think causes a lot of procrastination is like, if I'm not going to get it exactly right, I may as well not even start it.
Yes, 100%. And that's one of the biggest issues, I think, even with meditation is people feel like they have to do it. The whole miracle morning thing kind of started that trend. And then there's this pressure of if I start, then I have to do it forever. So I always appreciate talking to individuals like you who say like, yes, and sometimes I don't. Because that kind of gives people the freedom to recognize that sometimes it is needed. And then sometimes it isn't needed. And we go through seasons in our life where sometimes we will do it for a few months. And then other times it just doesn't quite fit or work. And that's okay. Like there's no commitment to meditation until the day you die. It can ease, you can ebb and flow out of that space as much as you want.
Yeah. I love quitting something powerfully.
Ooh, explain that more. I love that.
I was always a person who would just like, if I decided I was going to do it, I make it work. Like, this is what I committed to. It's sort of that like childhood, we signed you up for this activity. You're going to do it. You don't have to sign up for it again next year, but you're going to do it till the end of the season or the end of the year, or whatever. When I started going out on my own, when I was preparing for that, I was trying things and I was really afraid to try anything that wasn't going to work because I thought it would be embarrassing that it didn't work. I thought it would make me look like I was failing at growing my business. And I started this thing right after I left my full-time job that was called Out of Office. And it was an hour during lunchtime on Tuesday where it was just like, take a break for yourself. It was just a round table. Sometimes we had topics, sometimes we didn't. It was just like conversation, networking, etc. Well, I was asking overachievers who didn't take lunch breaks to come spend 1 o'clock with me, or 12 or 11 or 10, whatever time zone they were in. And I had some people from England come who were, it was 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock for them. And I had a couple of people come once or twice and a bunch of people messaging me and saying like, oh, I'm sorry, this is just such a hard time for me. Oh, Tuesday in the middle of the day, in the middle of the week, it's so hard. And I realized it wasn't accomplishing what I wanted it to accomplish. I was actually hanging out with like really nice people once a week, but it was people who didn't need what the intention was. Got it. And I quit. I ended it. And I ended it because it wasn't doing what I wanted it to do, and it wasn't serving who I wanted to serve. And that's why I'm excited about Procrastinator's Power Hour, because it is productivity time.
Yeah.
You know, but I ended it and I emailed the people who were coming regularly to let them know. And they were gracious and like had a good time while it lasted. And then I got to focus on other things, and I wasn't trying to like force fit this program that wasn't helping the audience I was trying to help. And so now I'm like, what else don't I like? What else do I want to quit doing?
Yes.
And if you're choosing to quit something, it's different than if you're like, I'm just failing at it, I'm giving up.
Yes. I love that. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. So Linda says, I've allowed failure to be part of the routine. It's okay to not achieve. Yeah, it's okay to decide you don't want this anymore. It's okay to have something fail and say, like, I don't want to fix it. That's not what I want to spend my time and energy on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Some things I don't add to goals. Sure. Yeah. And what else do we have here? Aaron. Oh, hey, Aaron. Drive time is often when I plan my day, but it has to be modifiable, even though you have committed to it. Yeah,
100.
that's, you sometimes you end up on a phone call, or you end up with something you have to write down. So you're, record something into your phone to remind you later when you're not driving. Yes. But yeah, it's, I do have a lot of things running through my head all the time about like what I want to do, what I think I might do. I recently built a master task list. I'm not using it yet. Which
That's
is like
okay.
It's there, right?
Yes.
But I built it, and I built in some everyday stuff, and every day even has a date attached to it. And I have a plan. It's actually what I'm working on in the Procrastinator's Power Hour on Tuesdays. I'm going to finalize my task list and the format of what I'm going to print out every day, because I'm going to print something out every day that tells me what my important tasks are for the day.
Yes.
And it feels so good to me to have it out of my head that I need to build that I need to put out my newsletter, or that I need to email clients or whatever. Like, if you can just get it down on paper. And now I'm finding myself like walking around with the Notes app on which I've always loved. I'm a huge fan of the Notes app.
Me too.
But I will walk around with that. And then when I sit down, I'll put what I've put in there into my task list. And so it's building, and now it's getting some of the regular stuff like really codified. So I don't have to be thinking every day, like, oh, I meant to go live today, or I wanted to do another LinkedIn post today, or whatever it is. And so I'm seeing the light around it that before I just was sort of carrying everything in my head.
Yeah, absolutely love that. I'm obsessed with my notes section too. And to go along with the meditation comment that you were kind of talking about, there's two places where I do silence. I think silence is so important. But for the first, I walk every morning. I walk 5 to 6 miles every single morning. For the first 30 minutes of my walk, I walk in silence. And the one thing that I continuously do while I'm walking in silence, the agenda is what else. So I continuously, okay, this is what I'm thinking about. And then I ask myself, what else? Mm-hmm. And I continuously word translate, or whatever that is, into my notes section. So I'll put on the top of my notes the date. So whatever the date is that day. And then just every few minutes, I'll just bring my phone up to my mouth, say whatever I'm saying, press end, and then I'll say, what else? And allowing myself the permission to continue to think bigger. What else, Sabrina? What else? What else can you do? What else is needed to do? What else should you do? Do you want to do? Really creates a really awesome just kind of vomit of just all of the just brilliance that's inside my head. And then the other part, which Aaron was talking about, was driving. I always drive in silence, which drives my fiance absolutely insane. Because he always has music on. And I get frustrated with the music on, because it's like, I'm trying to think of brilliance here. And the music's interrupting me. So we've compromised now. We're 5 years in, so we now compromise. So everything's good. Nice. But But yeah, those are my two areas to go with what Linda was saying. I think Linda with the meditation thing. There's other, there are times where you can do two things. Like I can walk and be in silence, and I can drive and be in silence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's amazing. Well, we're coming up to the end already. I'm going to pop your website up here, but tell everybody where they can find you, what they can get involved in, and especially the stuff that's related to like the procrastination time management, which I know for you is most of it.
Yeah. So I am mostly active on Facebook and probably Instagram. I'm getting better at LinkedIn. I am looking at Lauren to guide me in the LinkedIn adventure and journey. But I'm very active on Facebook. I've got a group, an all-female group that I run on there, and a personal page that I run there under Sabrina Victoria. And what was the other question? I don't remember. Sorry.
Where can people find you, and what can they find you for?
Yeah. So I run 4 programs right now. Obviously, I do coaching. I shouldn't say obviously. I do coaching, one-on-one coaching, predominantly around time management, organization. I also work with trauma. So narcissistic abuse, mommy, daddy issues, things that you've gone through in your past, and really work you through that. Along with, I always bring time management, organization into everything that I do. But I run 4 courses, procrastination, time management, organization, and then I have an addictions course for sobriety. I've been sober for 16 years.
Beautiful.
And all of them have the foundation, very similar foundation.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Sabrina, for joining me tonight. I love being in conversation with you. I just think you're powerful and amazing and smart and clever and funny. If you have stumbled across me for the first time, you can find me here on LinkedIn at my website, Lauren Lefkowitz Coach. DM me if you want to know more about anything I do, one-to-one coaching, Procrastinators Power Hour, training, workshops, little of this, little of that. I'm here for it. Thank you so much. And great to see everyone. Thanks for being with us. Have a great night.